Hey, good morning, San Antonio, and welcome to another episode of Plática Politica. I hope you're enjoying this fabulous Holy Saturday right here in San Antonio, whether you're in Atascosa, Uvalde, Gonzales, or Travis County. We're so glad that you are joining us right here on Plática Politica. We got a great show ahead for you today. We're interviewing Shannon Roberta Salomon, who is in the runoff election against Cesar Garcia. She's going to be talking about her perspective, her history as a 911 dispatcher, and how all of this would make her a great judge to serve Bexar County. We're also going to be talking about the Poteet Strawberry Festival. That is one of my favorite parties that happens every single year right here in Atascosa County, not too far, just down the road from us. And so if you haven't made plans to do so, hey, listen, go on Facebook. We're going to be giving away some free tickets for the Strawberry Festival. So go on Facebook, like us, and we'll be posting that this morning. Also joining us today is Chad Belew. He's the pastor of a church in Southtown. We're going to talk about Jesus flipping tables and taking a stand during Easter, because that's what this whole beautiful weekend is all about. And so we want to take a moment to honor that, talk a little bit about Easter and his perspective on how faith is shaping the political environment that we're dealing with today. So I hope you're having a great Saturday. Stick with us. We got a great show ahead. We'll be right back.
Está sintonizado. You are listening to Plática Politica. We're live on KEDA Radio Jalapeño 99.9 FM and 1540 AM and on Facebook Live. Stay here for the latest news, politics, and a little bit of cheeseman.
And we are back on Plática Politica. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in San Antonio. You know, I don't care what the weather does. It's a great day to be in the city of San Antonio. And listen, joining me is now one of my favorite human beings, Molly Solis, who is a part of a fabulous organization called the Strawberry Festival. How are you doing, Molly?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on. We appreciate you doing this.
Absolutely. So I just learned that you have been on the board for the past 3 years. You're now the vice president of the Poteet Strawberry Festival, but that's not the exciting part. You were queen way back in the day.
Yes, I was queen in 1995. So I'm aging myself. I'm dating myself, but I'm proud to be serving now to make sure that others get the same opportunity I got with my scholarship. So
that's awesome. So what does it take to be queen of the Poteet Strawberry Festival?
Well, we open the applications to juniors and sophomores from Poteet High School. They have to have a certain grade point average. They have to have good attendance. But then they are interviewed by a panel of out-of-county judges that are not supposed to be affiliated or know any of the applicants. And then we select the top 3 girls and the top 3 boys. And then we have a coronation interview about a month later. This is all in January, February. We have another interview that they have to go through with 5 out-of-county judges. These are different judges than the first ones. Wow. And they select who is queen, princess, and duke, and duchess, and king, and prince, all of that. They make those selections and they announce it at the coronation night. The whole school is involved in the coronation. Each class sends a representative, and we usually have a theme, and each class represent each like first grade, second grade, all the way up through 12th grade. They have a theme, and it's a nice event we've come to look forward to each year. It kind of kicks off our festival events coming up to next weekend with our big day ahead, or 3 days ahead.
Yeah. I love it. I always say that, you know, Poteet Strawberries Festival is what kicks off the high party days in South Texas, right? Because you have Poteet Strawberry Festival right before Fiesta San Antonio. You know, I grew up going to the Poteet Strawberry Festival. I always say if you're from Poteet, you're like a Vargas, a Perez, you're probably one of my primos. Pretty much.
Yeah, I graduated from Poteet High School, you know, born and raised in Poteet, and it is the kickoff to Fiesta because we come right before Oyster Bake. So we are very proud of that. And we usually come either the weekend before or after Easter. This year it's after Easter. So everybody will be ready to partake in all our festivities, no matter what they gave up for Lent. Now they can enjoy it all again. So we appreciate everybody coming out and and having a great event next weekend.
It's going to be a party with a purpose. So if you're going to take the drive out to Atascosa County to Poteet, there's a lot to celebrate, a lot to do. So what can we expect this year? Is there anything different? Is there anything new?
We have a great lineup. We always have something for everyone. We have a lot of entertainment during the day for families and kids. We have the largest carnival with over 50 rides and games. We have a petting zoo. We have Texas Parks and Wildlife has a catfish tank that's a catch and release, and they have archery. Yeah, we have a lot of, and then we also have over 100 arts and crafts vendors. We have a rodeo each day, and we have mutton busting that you can participate in. So during the day, we have we have 3 stages of small local Texas. We try to make it from South Texas or within Texas. So we have Ballet Folklorico, we have Fire on the Mountain Cloggers, we have acoustic artists of all genres. And then we have great acts at night that are more adult oriented. So they are still kid friendly, but we do have various Spanish bands, depending on the day, whether it's Tejano or Norteño. And then we also have country music each night.
That's great. There is always something for everyone at the Strawberry Festival. Hey, so something that's really cool that we're starting to we're getting used to, having to pay for parking, but I'm looking at your website. It says that parking is free.
Yes, we know times are hard, and we want everybody to, save where they can. And if they're going to come out and enjoy the event, they're already having to drive there. So we would really want to make sure that they understand that we're trying to do what we can. We are packing it full of free entertainment for the admission of $30, or if you buy it online now, $25 online. For Saturday and Sunday, you come in and you enjoy 6 stages of music, arts and crafts. All the kids area is free. HEB Texas Roots is sponsoring our growers area. So they have 3 different areas where they can buy strawberries. We do have a strawberry eating contest on Saturday and Sunday at 1:00.
Oh my goodness.
So there's lots of free entertainment for the, amount that you're going to pay. But yes, parking is free. We want to make sure that we tried and help everybody out a little bit as they're supporting our cause.
And I see that something I didn't know, that the Poteet Strawberry Festival welcomes veterans and active military.
Yes, we honor their service to our country. Currently serving active military get in free. The member just has to present a valid ID. And also veterans with a valid ID get in free. They also receive, if they're disabled veterans and they need closer parking, we have those benefits. We also have free handicap parking with the valid tags. We try to make sure, because we know it's an open parking. We try to make sure that we help people out with getting up close when they need to be.
And for families, I see that you all even welcome the kids 12 and under.
Yes. So 12 and under are still free for our event. And we just, you just let them know their date of birth. We don't check birth certificates or anything. But yeah, 12 and under are free. And the carnival wristbands are now for the whole, like unlimited rides for the whole time. So that's good. You can get a wristband online at a discounted rate up until April 9th. I recommend highly that you buy it before you get there. You're saving quite a bit of money, and then you can just scan it, and the kids can ride unlimited rides the whole time you're there. So you can ride rides, go to the rodeo, come back, ride more rides, get something to eat from one of our food booths. It'll be a great day.
So I have to ask you, what's your favorite festival food?
My favorite festival food is strawberry shortcake. I have to have one every year. Usually I don't get to do it until Sunday at like 6:00. But they make the homemade whipped cream, fresh Poteet strawberries. They make the shortcake. It's one of my favorites. It's why I come to the festival every year, other than working, volunteering, and raising money for scholarships. But
of course,
strawberry shortcake.
I have to know, are you all going to have turkey legs this year? Because I am starving and I'm dying for a turkey leg.
We are going to have turkey legs. We also have chicken on the stick. We are also going to have many of our normal foods that everybody likes, like fajitas and gorditas. We will also have some great agua frescas as well as fresanadas now, not necessarily just mangonadas. We also have a Dubai chocolate. Our Steph Sweet Treats is coming in, and they're going to have Dubai chocolate covered strawberries. We also have, strawberry cheesecake, strawberry shortcake.
Oh my Lord, you are making me hungry.
We have lots of booths with strawberry drizzle or salsa. There's also a strawberry nachos that they make with buñuelos, and they top it with strawberries and pecans and syrup. It's delicious. And all of the booths are nonprofits. So they're either church, civic, or youth organizations or community organizations. This is our fundraiser for our whole year for all of these organizations to operate and serve the community for the remainder of the year. So this is something that they work. They are all volunteers. We have over 5,000 volunteers in those booths over the weekend. And without our volunteers, we would not be able to succeed the way we do.
No, absolutely. What an amazing thing. I love that it is a party with a purpose. You got a great musical lineup. I see that on Friday night you have Los Musicales, Saturday night you have Old 60, Sunday you've got great music throughout the entire day, Secreto and all sorts of groups.
Yes, we have on Friday night we have Kevin Fowler and Tracy Bird in our Lions Club stage. On our main stage, on our festival side, we have Los Traileros del Norte. And we have some great acts opening for them. As you mentioned, David Lee Garza, our hometown favorite, and his band are playing. It's going to be a reunion show with Jay Perez and Emilio's sons. So the official Emilio tribute. Yeah, it's really cool. We're excited about that. And
I saw Emilio's picture and I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So
it's the tribute. It's his sons that do a tribute to him. Nice. So they put a reunion show together. So it'll be a great event. And also we have our rodeo each day leading up to Saturday night's entertainment. We have bull riding, which is awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, every year we have packed house, packed bleachers. We added more seating this year so more people can enjoy our bull riding. And then that's topped off with Hoosier Brothers and Old 60, like you said, and Little Joe and Pesado. We're expecting a great Saturday night. We have fireworks every night at 10 o'clock and then on Sunday at 8:45. And our Sunday lineup, that is really good. We're closing out with Secreto and Braxton Keith. So Cody West, Braxton Keith, Sunday night, you can have your entertainment and it finishes at 10:30. Still get home, get up, go to work the next day. Everything will be great.
Sounds like a good time happening at the Poteet Strawberry Festival. For more information, you can visit the Poteet Strawberry Festival.com. It's PoteetStrawberryFestival.com. You know, being a Latino, I add the to everything, but no, it's not.
That's okay.
PoteetStrawberryFestival.com. Molly Solis, what do you want folks to know about the Strawberry Festival before you head out?
I want you to know that it is a party with a purpose. Our community relies on it each and every year. It's our 79th annual. We support our strawberry growers. We have a strawberry judging and auction. Plenty of the most delicious fresh strawberries you can eat. Come on out and join us. You won't be disappointed.
All right. Visit PoteetStrawberryFestival.com for more information. You're listening to Plática Politica right here on KEDA Radio Jalapeño. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Estás escuchando Plática Política. Quédate con nosotros para enterarte de las últimas noticias, análisis políticos y un poco de chisme. Aquí en KEDA Radio Jalapeño.
Así es. Escúchanos en directo, síguenos en las redes sociales o sintoniza donde quiera que escuches tus podcasts favoritos.
You're listening to Plática Politica. Today, we are highlighting Shannon Roberta Salomon, a dedicated attorney, mediator, and public servant with nearly 2 decades of experience serving the people of Bexar County, from working as a 911 operator in caseworker to advocating in the courtroom. Her career has been defined by commitment to fairness, dignity, and access to justice. Now she's stepping up to run for judge right here in Bexar County as she continues her mission to support families, protect the vulnerable, and strengthen the community she calls home. How are you doing today, Shannon?
Robert, I'm doing really well. I'm so happy to be talking with you. What a nice intro. Thank you.
Well, you have a fabulous career. I was just telling you before the show that I did not know that you were a 911 operator. I bet you have some stories.
I do have some really good stories. I probably have some trauma as well, unfortunately, because when, people are not calling you to just wish you happy birthday or something, they're calling you in crisis mode.
I bet that takes a lot of energy.
Yes, I was surrounded by a lot of really good people, and I had some really good training. I can probably tell my training story if
go for it.
I think it's radio appropriate. These people, these Bexar County people, I mean, we're talking so long ago that we had maps. We had physical paper maps. So to help you set the frame of the story. And then these people, it was the third shift. So this is, the midnight shift. And these people are tough as nails. And I'm the newbie, okay? And these Bexar County employees, they're dedicated. This is their life. They'll get Bexar County tattoos. These are hardcore people. And here I am, she's not gonna last, So they put me up in the front of this big, this was so long ago, we actually would print out these little cards and then dispatch. I'm sure it's all digital now and they probably have apps and computers and everything, but we were in the basement of the jail.
Oh my goodness.
Right. So they stuck me way at the front and they gave me a little training and then put me up there and you're going to take a call. Okay. I'm taking the calls. And then I do what they told me to do. The lady right behind me, my trainer was right behind me. And she, was giving me my steps I needed to do. So I did everything. It was a horrible call. Kids, passing away all over the place. And it was just horrible. And I was shaking but I got it out. I got the cars dispatched and I turned around and they were rolling. So everything was fine. They were going to be fine. So I turned around. I told my trainer, I did it. I did it. And she said, yeah, good. Glad you good.
Not fine.
They're dead. They're all dead because of you. Because you were too slow. And but what I didn't know is she had dispatched, she did it. So she did it behind me and let me just, so that's your training. That is your on the job training. They just throw you in and just brutally break you down and then build you back up. They're amazing people.
Hilarious.
And I did last and I did help a lot of people, but yeah, a lot of good stories from there.
I can only imagine. Those are probably best suited for off the air, so that may require some margaritas later on.
Oh, lovely. With nachos. Yes, please.
Yes, absolutely. So you 911 dispatcher, community advocate. What made you decide as a Hispanic female to go into law? Because you went to law school at a time when there probably wasn't a lot of women in law school. Not to date you or age you, but it was a very bold move at that time.
I wear my age like a badge of honor. I mean, I made it too far to worry about the small stuff, And I never dreamed, 55 would look like this. I think I'm doing all right.
Fabulous. Look at you running for judge, have a family. Yeah. So what made you decide to go to law school?
When I was working as a caseworker, I really wanted to help people. Mm-hmm. And the tools in my toolkit were TANF, it used to be called AFDC. It's a cash payment. It was about $200 for a family of 4 back then. Food stamps and Medicaid. So this was what I could give people, and also referrals, to housing and things like that. Okay. So people come in with problems. The woman would come in and she would say, I was working, everything was fine, but my boyfriend kept going by my job and my boss says he can't have that. So he fired me and now I need some help. So I gave her my little Band-Aid, my little stuff I could give her, and I sent her on her way. And then the next family came in, 5 kids, and they were doing fine. But, the dad was the only one working and he was on the roof and they came by with the van, La Migra, and they packed him up. And so now she didn't have any food. So I gave her my little, tools that I had at the time. But I started thinking, well, that first lady, she needed a protective order. That's what she really needed. Mm-hmm. And then this family, well, that dad needed a green card. And so how do I better serve my community the law would be a very powerful way to do that. And I went and talked to my dad and I said, Dad, will you support me? Will you help me? Because this feels very daunting, going to law school. Yeah. And he said, yes, Mija, I will help you. And I said, I feel like the law is really powerful to help people, this knowledge of the law. And he said, Mija, all knowledge is powerful.
That's right. Ooh, yeah.
And they did, and they helped me. I didn't have to work through most of law school. They had a little efficiency apartment for me, and they helped me pay for it. And it was quite a sacrifice, and ate a lot of ramen noodles. Robert, every night, I'm gonna shut up after this because I want you to talk more. No. But every night I would go to bed in my little efficiency apartment, and I would say, there's not going to be a roach in my hair. There's not going to be a roach in my hair, because that's the only way to make myself go to sleep. Well, guess what? One night there was a roach in my hair.
You know what? I grew up on the west side of San Antonio. For those that know the west side, off of Acme and Old Highway 90.
Right.
I have some stories of sleeping on the living room floor and waking up to some very uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
But we will not traumatize our listeners with those stories.
But the floor is also good. I mean, the floor is like sometimes one of the most comfortable spots.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, you've made this jump. You've been a lawyer for quite some time now, and you've got the love and the passion for that, right? For protecting and serving the community in that capacity. What made you decide to run for judge, right? We have a lot of benches. There's a lot of elected positions, and it can be a really intimidating experience to run for office, no matter how good your circumstances are. So what made you decide, I want to take that on, and I want to wear a robe now?
I really, really appreciate you so much, Robert. You really get it. You get the political community, the vibe. I mean, this is your jam. This is what you do. And then you also have a really high emotional intelligence. So you get it, how out of my comfort zone it would be, and for most people to actually run for judge, and you're really putting your neck out on the line for your community when you do something like that. So thank you for saying that and recognizing what an emotional commitment it is also, especially now when politics has gotten so toxic. I mean, if you just look at our national news, look at what's going on in politics. It's not a rational choice where you're thinking, oh, this is great for my career, this is a good move. It's a love.
It's like, oh, look, the courthouse is on fire. I'm going to go run in that.
Yes, I am running in. Yes, exactly. So it's not business as usual. We are on fire. Our community, our national politics. None of this is normal. And so in doing in part of my resume, one of the things I've done is worked at the DA's office, and I've worked with the foster youth. And then I've also worked with the local nonprofits that are helping the foster youth. So as they're aging out, I mean, I've always really cared about the unhoused population, because anybody that can drive around San Antonio can just see that this is not getting better. And we're getting millions of dollars. And why can we not fix this problem? Why I would suffer if any human was sleeping outside and uncomfortable in the heat, in the cold. But we've got veterans, we've got children, we've got, victims of domestic violence. We have our foster youth that, they're 18 and then 18 plus 1 day and we're done with them. The state doesn't have to pay anymore. So it made me do a very deep dive into the unhoused situation. And what appeals to me about County Court 10 is they do a lot of evictions in that court. And I understand that as a judge, if somebody comes to you and they have all the legal requirements for an eviction, you have to grant that eviction. You can't just suspend the law. I mean, everything that's going on nationally has really hit home for me that the rule of law is intensely, intensely important. I'm sure it always was, but it's just really present that the rule of law has to be followed. So I'm a person that loves our country. I love America. I love our Constitution. I can hold that line and hold the rule of law, and I have to grant an eviction if somebody comes and brings me all of, or grant an appeal, grant whatever the law says. A judge has to follow the law. But I do believe we can do better for people. This is not business as usual, and I really believe that there's a way to bring in social agencies to provide education into the court to where it's not a revolving door that people are just getting eviction after eviction. Then they have a very black mark on their credit. They'll never get anything good. Then they are very susceptible to scams and unscrupulous things that will happen where they're paying just crazy amounts of money and they'll never have a decent place to live. And this is something that affects everybody because we all need to live, you know, we all like living indoors, you know.
Well, and it's interesting because as a judge, you're not there to create law. You're there to apply the law fairly and justly. And I believe that who we elect as judges is so important because if you elect a Democrat, you know that they have one perspective. If you elect a Republican, you elect someone that has a different perspective, right? And many times people say, well, we shouldn't elect our judges based on party. I mean, if it were up to other folks, they wouldn't elect anyone based on party. But the reality is, if you tell me you're a Democrat, that tells me you have one moral compass. If you tell me you're a Republican, you have a different moral compass. And I'm not going to sit here and say that one is better than the other. But at the end of the day, who you elect as your judge determines the perspective that they bring on to the table. And I'll say this, you don't have to say this because you're running for judge. And so I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable spot, but I will say that a judge that is a Democrat is going to have a certain set of values on gay marriage, immigration, the way people who are undocumented or should be treated, the way the unhoused population should be treated. And people who are Republicans are going to have their own perspectives on immigration, the way the undocumented Latinos, those types of things. And so who we elect as judges is important. So I wanted to get that off my chest because that's, I think, super, super important. So tell me about.
I love it. It's 100% true. And thank you for pointing that out. A lot of people will ask me, well, how do you feel about this issue? And how do you feel about that? I'm really not supposed to answer because you have to just apply the law. You know, you have the blinders on. It doesn't matter if that person is in a same-sex relationship. It doesn't matter their socioeconomic status. It doesn't matter their color. You just apply the law. That's why Lady Justice has those blinders on. But I do feel comfortable saying that you do bring your perspective to the bench. You're a human being. And so if somebody is standing in front of me and they happen to be undocumented, I'm not going to be thinking, oh, this is an illegal person that is destroying our country. You know, I'm going to be coming from my perspective of having done years of immigration law and working with the immigrant community. I'm going to be thinking, this is an undocumented person. You know, this is not my place to determine. I am not ICE right now.
Immigration judge. You're not there.
Exactly. Right. And so I'm not going to pass judgment on that, and I'm going to apply the law fairly to this human that is within my jurisdiction standing in front of me.
Absolutely. And that's the perspective, you know, and language is important as well when you're dealing with the community. And I think you and I could go down a rabbit hole in language, but listening to language, it's like, do you look at this person that's before you as an attorney, as a judge, as a 911 operator and say, oh, this person's an illegal person. They're here illegal. Or are you seeing them as an undocumented person? The reality is that, and I will say this is not something you're saying, but I always say, you know, no one is illegal on stolen land, right? And there's that perspective. You may bring that lens to the table. You may not. And so I think it's important that when we elect people, we know what their perspective is, right? It's like if you look at somebody and say, oh, they're a Catholic. Oh, they're Catholic. That's my friend who's Catholic. I'm not going to invite him to a steak on a Friday, right? Because they don't eat steak on Fridays. You know, it's just knowing the nuances that make us who we are. And in our politicians and our elected officials, sometimes the only way you know is the differences by the party that they elect. So I want to move on. Shannon, tell me a little bit about why this bench. I know you talked about the unhoused population and evictions, but somewhere down the road, you looked and were like, I'm going to take on that person. I'm going to take on that judge, or I'm going to take on that bench. What were you thinking at that time?
Well, like I said, they are doing a lot of eviction. They're doing the appeals from the JP court go to this court, County Court 10. And I don't like to be negative, and I have been very good about not being negative and not going negative. People are tired of it, Robert. They're sick of it. They don't want to hear negativity. And they don't want to hear, the bickering. And I have some reasons why I feel I'm better for that bench. And there are some things that are public record that if anyone wanted to contact me, I would discuss it with them. I answer my DMs. I'm at Shannon Roberta 4judge at gmail.com. I'm all over social media. So I am determined to not be negative and add to negative politics. But I also feel that taxpayers do need to know the truth. That is not being negative if you're going to speak the truth. And there is a situation going on where the people that are practicing in that court, the landlord attorneys, the attorneys representing corporations, they are donating large amounts of money to the current judge in there. Okay. And I would love to hear your opinion on that, because that is actually a common practice. That does not necessarily mean that there's going to be biased decisions. That doesn't have to mean that. Sure. But I am a person that, if you look at my background and you look at my record, I am serving the community, the people. And so the paper trail does seem to point to, this is more of a big business type of corporation, landlord, attorney, money interest, when you're comparing the two, if you have to make that choice.
So I want to go back to something that you said. There are things that make you feel would make you better suited for this bench. What are those things?
Well, we talked about our, I think we probably share our view of humanity in our community that we live in, that people are not illegal. So I have my immigration law background, that the law backs me up on that, because the act of being in this country without permission is actually not criminalized. So I know the INA, the immigration law, inside and out. And what is against the law is that moment when you cross the border. That is a federal misdemeanor. But Robert, if you've ever passed through a stop sign, you are not an illegal person the second after you go past that stop sign. You committed a misdemeanor, but you are not a criminal for the rest of your life. I'm not going to, put you in that box. So the way you view people, that's something you take to the bench. And also my community service, I have a wide variety of systems that I have worked within. So I've been out there working with nonprofits, working in many different kinds of areas of law. So I understand how all of this works together. When people come in and they come before you, they're not just dealing with that eviction. They're not just dealing with that situation at hand. They're living in a community where all these systems are working together all around them. So I used to kind of beat myself up a little bit, because I have friends that got out of law school and they did only probate, so they know wills. That's all they know. I did everything, practically everything, except tax law and bankruptcy. Know nothing about that. But I have done such a wide variety of criminal, immigration, child welfare, just my community work. So I feel like I'm the best person to understand that person in front of me and the community they're living with and the problems that they're dealing with. I'm also, like you mentioned before, the kind of person that runs into a problem, just flies into that burning building. This is where my community needs me. Okay, that's where I'm going. This is what they need. I'm going to go this direction. And it's going to show, I think I have a good chance to get in there, and we can do better for people. And this is a really great place to serve the community. Awesome. I don't know if you believe in affirmations. Do you believe that you should always speak, positively?
Life. Speak truth. There's power of life and death in the tongue. I believe that.
Yeah. So I'm kind of scared to say that I'm not going to win, but if I don't get this bench, I will find another. There is something else that God has for me to serve the community.
Absolutely. Well, I am so excited that you're running. There is a primary runoff election that's happening on May 26th. And so Shannon Roberta Salomon is going to be in that runoff election. So if you'd like to vote for her, you can go in that and learn more about her. And you can vote for her on May 26th. She is taking on Judge Cesar Garcia for that bench in the runoff election. And so, Shannon, thank you so much for coming. Your website is shannonrobertasalmon.com, correct?
Yes, and we're doing a meet and greet at Golden Star Cafe next Saturday. Please come at 11.
All right, you can learn more about that and all her other fun things that she's doing out on the campaign trail. She's got some great videos on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you so much, Shannon, for being with us.
Robert, you're amazing.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Looking for a career that makes a difference? The City of San Antonio is hiring. Careers at the City of San Antonio play a vital role in our community. Our jobs help keep our city working for families in our community. Working with the city is more than a job. It's a purpose. We have a job for you. For a list of career opportunities, visit sa.gov/careers.
You're tuned into Plática Politica, and we're embracing the Easter season. We're going to hear from a voice rethinking faith in real time, Pastor Chad Belew of the Arsenal Church in San Antonio. This Easter season, we're stepping beyond the easy answers and into honest questions, exploring what it means to deconstruct, to rebuild, and rediscover hope on the other side of certainty. So whether you're holding on, letting go, or something in between, this conversation is for you. So let's dive right in. Pastor Chad, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, Robert. Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. You're doing some amazing things right there in Southtown San Antonio. Your church talks about love. It talks about deconstruction. We're talking about Easter. What does it all mean to you?
Oh, what does it all mean? Man, what a question for a pastor. You got time?
Are we going to heaven?
Man, now you're going in a direction we could have a long conversation about. But I think what Easter means is it is a representation and just a show of what love really is and what love will do, even when love is met with the harshest of hate that we can bring. And love through Jesus on the cross took every bit of hate that we could put on him. And I think what resurrection shows us is that love can't be beat and that love will always win. And so that's Easter is a reminder of love, and that's why we continue to at Arsenal to always say, like, go love well, because I think this is the rallying cry of Jesus and of Christians.
So I have to ask you, we're a political talk show. We're talking about Easter. It's Holy Weekend. It was Holy Week, or it was just Holy Week. And
we're in Holy Week. Yeah.
We're in Holy Week. Yes. This week is holy. Having said that, there are people who are struggling with their faith and looking around, because of the current political climate. We have a political culture in which religion and faith is weaponized. How do you love? How do you live and still face these holy times with hope?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the message of Easter. That is the message of Jesus. Is during times like this is, like I said, we're in Holy Week. This last week I taught on Jesus coming into Jerusalem on a donkey and how that was a counter display of what humanity could be to what Pontius Pilate would have been doing on the other side of town, coming in on a war horse with his soldiers and show of force, and Jesus comes in on a donkey showing peace. And so I think what we do in these times is look to Jesus, look at what he did. He came in, show of peace, and then he goes into the temple. And I talked this last week about how Jesus in the temple flipping tables was not about people selling things in the church, but about how the temple and the system was taking advantage of the most vulnerable amongst us. And Jesus was saying, you're not doing this right. And so he flipped tables and said that you have turned my Father's house into a den of robbers. And when he says den of robbers, it's because they are robbing the poor. And I talked about a widow this week. They gave her last 2 cents. And Jesus says, this is what your system's doing, is it's taking everything from the poor. And I think from a political standpoint, we're seeing this, like the poor among us, the most vulnerable among us are the ones that are being attacked by this administration and by what is happening in our country. And so what do? We look at Jesus, and he spoke truth to power. He brought love to places of hate. And that is what we get to do.
So, Chad, I love what you talk about, Jesus flipping tables and standing up, right? As someone who subscribes to the Christian tradition, I always lean on the scripture that talks about true religion, which is defined as caring for the vulnerable, for the widows and the orphans, and fighting the cause of the oppressed. Like, in my work, I often say I am a Democrat because I'm a Christian, right? How do you apply that work in what you all are doing as a church?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the call of a Christian, and that is how Jesus describes love. Oftentimes we might hear people try to define love in other ways, especially in the church. Like, this is what love looks like, speaking truth. And but really, Jesus gives us the definition of love, and it is to feed the hungry, to clothe those who need clothing, to visit the prisoner, to give water to the thirsty, like to take care of people that are in need. And so, that is the call, and that's really what we want to be as a community. In Southtown and San Antonio, the hope is that we are a place that is showing love in every way that Jesus called us to do. And I heard a while back, I don't remember if it was a pastor, I forget who it was, but basically they said, think about the Arsenal in Southtown in San Antonio. If the Arsenal no longer existed in Southtown, would the community feel it? And I think not in a way of like, hey, we want to be this special thing outside of, we want to serve the community and serve the most vulnerable. We want to just look like Jesus and love well. And so I think in times like this, and in all times, like, that is the call of the church, and that's what Jesus calls us to.
You've been very vocal about your positions in the world around us, right? Beyond the church, and just looking at the world around you. How does it make you feel as a pastor when people take the teachings of your faith tradition, of the leader that you follow, your Jesus, right? I was going to call him your friend and mentor, but that's not proper terms.
A rabbi, yeah.
But how does that make you feel when you look at people doing some of the things that they're doing in the name of Christ?
Man, it hurts. It's frustrating. I mean, you know me, so I want to argue, and I want to come at different aspects of it, but I think at the end of the day, really, it just hurts. It's a misrepresentation of this person of Jesus that I love, and that I believe that we are trying to live like. And so it's tough. And honestly, I wasn't as vocal about all this stuff for a long time. And like you said, deconstruction is something that we talk about at the Arsenal. We're not afraid of. I think growth happens in the questions. And so I'm okay with having these conversations. But since probably 2016, something happened in our country. And so pushing back against Christian nationalism and this misrepresentation of the person of Jesus, I think is something that I I have to do. It is part of the role of pastor.
So I have to ask, what do you say to people who have been hurt by the church, or maybe used to go to church, don't go to church anymore, feel like they still maybe have a connection to their faith, but don't go to church? What do you say to those folks?
Yeah, keep loving Jesus. I am not one that would say like, hey, you have to be in church, that is a requirement for your faith with Jesus. What sure. I would say, I understand. Like I also was one who had a hard time with my faith, and so I had to work through that. But my biggest hope would be that you could find a place where you do experience love and acceptance, and you are encouraged, and you do get hope. And so I do still believe in the work of the local church. I think that the local church is a community of people that come together and just encourage each other in the teachings of Jesus, and in a way that encourages us to get creative in the ways that we love. And so I would hope that you could find a place that you do feel loved, you do feel cared for, you feel listened to, and that you could be encouraged. And so I totally get it. A lot of us have had a rough run at church, and it sucks. Like really, it's hurtful.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge for folks who still have a connection to their faith, still have a connection, because faith is community, right? It's community, it's people, it's the community you grow up in. As someone who was really close to my faith community growing up, and then coming out, having to separate from that faith community, and then finally coming to a place of my own, you have to almost learn who you are as a person. But it is a good thing to connect with some sort of community faith, especially this Easter season, as we are celebrating all sorts of things. I mean, everything from triumphal entry to the crucifixion to the resurrection. It's a very exciting time in Christendom, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's always funny. In the church world, this is the Super Bowl.
It is the Super Bowl. Like Easter and Christmas. Like if you're not in church this Easter and Christmas, what are you even doing?
It's funny to me. And I think, a lot of that we won't get into. A lot of that has to do with like theology and what people believe Christianity is about. But I think at the end of the day, really what this weekend is a reminder of what love looks like. And it is in the church, absolutely, this is a good time for us, because people will come. Like people that don't always come to church will be here. And this is our opportunity to get to love them. And I know at the Arsenal, like this is our opportunity to show a different way and a different understanding of what faith looks like and what Jesus looks like and how we can love well. And so it is always an exciting time.
All right. Well, you're having service this Sunday at 11 a.m., correct?
11 a.m. We do the one service, we pack it in, and then we go eat with the family. So 11 a.m., 105 Sadie Street, right here in Southtown at the Arsenal.
All right. You can also visit them for more information on social media. I know you keep us on all the socials, keep us on all the platforms. So visit thearsenal.church. All right. Thank you, Chad. Anything else you want folks to know before you head out today?
I think at the end of the day, like the biggest thing to know is God's not mad at you, that he loves you, that love has always pursued you. And that Jesus is that representation of an unconditional love. And I hope that you can find healing in that and experience the love and go love well, because that is who we were made to be.
All right. And on that note, you're listening to Plática Politica. We'll be right back.
Estás escuchando Plática Política. Quédate con nosotros para enterarte de las últimas noticias, análisis políticos y un poco de chisme. Aquí en Queda Radio Jalapeño.
Así es. Escúchanos en directo, síguenos en las redes sociales o sintoniza donde quiera que escuches tus podcasts favoritos.
All right, folks, before we sign off today, let's take a look at what we've been talking about. We've seen it time and time again, political games, distractions, and policies that seem more focused on holding on to power than actually helping everyday people. From efforts that make it harder to vote to attacks on public education and basic freedoms, these aren't random moves. This isn't normal. It's part of a bigger strategy. But here's the thing. None of this is unstoppable. Change doesn't just happen in Washington. It starts right here at home by showing up to vote in every election, staying informed, having conversations with friends and neighbors, and pushing back against misinformation. It's supporting candidates that are actually fighting for working families, for fairness, and for the future we want to see. Yes, it can feel exhausting. That's by design, but stay engaged. That's how we win. So don't tune out, lean in, get involved, because when we organize, communities speak up, and when voters show up, we can cut through the noise and make real change happen. Thanks for spending your day with us. Don't forget to stay loud, stay active, y no te dejes, because you were made for this moment.